and and hope the others will join us. I thank you for being here. If everybody would, please, if you could, turn your cameras on so we can see you, and it just makes me feel better when I see my students. So don't mind, just turn your cameras on. Thanks, Robin. Let me share my screen and pull this up. It's doing the same thing again. Oh, there we go. Let me pull up the agenda. There we go. And you can find this also under week 2 in your course shells. But let's look at what this evening is going to look like. First of all, welcome to week 2. Hope everybody's doing well. It's cold where we are, and I'm sure it's cold where everybody else is. We've got to buckle down for a few days of some cold weather. But I look at this as a positive. When you're not at work, can't do a whole lot outside. So this is a good opportunity to get garden wet work done. So use your time wisely, because you can't do a whole lot of everything else. So that's what we'll do. But welcome to week 2, and you can see the agenda. I'm going to briefly review and just have a brief question and answer time for AAPSL Task 1 that you're already working on. Then Dr. Revis is going to go into the peer review process, because your first peer reviews will come after next week. So you'll need to understand that process. And then I'm going to introduce to you AAPSL Task 2, and Dr. Revis will join in with that as well. And then Dr. Revis is your clinical coach too, and it's important that you begin having an understanding of what your internship looks like. So she's going to be sharing some things with that. In a little bit, I'll go over week 2 responsibilities. But that's basically what things are going to look like. Dr. Revis, would you like to make a comment before we move on?
Well, I am glad to see everybody back with us. I think we lost one student this past week, Dr. Stedman, but maybe that will be it for us. Just hang in there, guys. And like we told you at the first meeting, give us 4 weeks and things will start falling into place, and you will start seeing the routine and the pattern to when things are due and when you need to do this, that, or the other. And it will start smoothing out for you.
Okay, let me go ahead and just get some house cleaning things done before we get into a review of AAPSL Task 1. It's important, just remember, you were instructed that you must check your Gardner Web email on a regular basis every day, and I highly suggest multiple times during the day. That means you may get an email from me, you may get an email from Dr. Revis, you may get an email from Dr. Lamb or from from the department. It's important that you check your Gardner Web email every day. I've sent some emails out and have not gotten responses back. So, I'm wondering if you've got a problem with your email or if you just haven't checked it. That being said, remember, I want you here at every class meeting as much as possible. But your attendance is based on the submission of your work actually beginning this week. When 6 o'clock gets here on Sunday night, if work is not submitted in a timely manner, and if it's not the quality work that you should be submitting, not just something to submit because it's a due date or due time, then my responsibility is to record that it's an unexcused absence. And you will hear from the university then, because they monitor you, and if you get unexcused absences, you accumulate them, then you become academically in trouble with the university, and I don't want that to happen. I've only had that to happen to one student. So I do not want this to happen to you. When it's due on 6 o'clock, I don't need to get an email saying I'm running behind schedule or what. You must map out your week. You must to make sure that you get your work in a timely manner. Part of the reason is Dr. Revis and I, we have other jobs. So when we set this schedule, I set aside time that I can give you timely feedback. And so I set aside my time on Sunday evenings at 6 o'clock. Now, if Dr. Revis will tell you, if you submit work prior to Sunday evening at 6 o'clock, I can promise you that you're going to get a quick turnaround from me. I actually like it when I can get it before Sunday at 6 o'clock because that gives me time to give you feedback, gives you more time to go back and to make the edits that I will suggest that you make when you turn it in. Don't send me work and say, Dr. Stebbin, will you check this to see if I'm on the right track? That's not what we do in this program. I will let you know when you submit what you consider to be the best work that you can submit the first time. Now, chances are that I'm going to find something the first time. Sometimes I don't, but chances are that I am. You will get one opportunity to go back and fix it. And, then you have to, because we have to move on. You don't have time to camp out, with just one task. We have to get it cleared so that you can move on. You can't move on to task 2 until I've cleared you with task 1. So Sunday at 6 o'clock at the latest, and I highly recommend that you try to get it in before then. And if you do, I'm going to give you quick feedback on that. Try to get it in before then. And then, and when Dr. Revis talks to you about peer review process, you'll understand why it's important as a peer review team to be able to get that in time. Now, I have a couple of people that I don't know that you've gone through Blackboard like I asked you to, because you still have not submitted the information. If you had gone through it, you would look under the peer review process and you would see where you were supposed to have already submitted information about yourself. And this is to let me know that you're in there. It's also to let your peer review team know who you are and something about you and some general information. So a couple of people that have not done that, please take care of that tonight when class is over with. The other thing is I ask you to complete the enrollment verification activity, EVA in Blackboard. Please go back and check and make sure I've got one that shows pending. That means that you have not submitted or you have not completed something, but it must be finally submitted. This clears you with Gardner-Webb University, not necessarily with me. It clears you with Gardner-Webb University as an online student. All online students must complete that. Not only for me, you must go into Dr. Revis's shell as well, the internship shell, and you must complete EVA for her as well. So the couple of people, 3 people, I've got 3 people that owe me EVA. Please take care of that immediately. So are there any questions about my assignment expectations beginning effective this week? Everybody understand that? Okay, Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. at the latest. And again, I highly encourage you to get them to me before then, if at all possible. Remember, let me stop share for just a minute. Remember, on last Tuesday, I shared with you several documents that you would find in Blackboard under the AAPSL template and materials section. Again, that is a vitally important section to be very familiar with and to camp out there, because that's where you're going to find pretty much everything that you need at this point to be able to move forward with the work you're doing with Evidence One, the AAPSL. Again, just a reminder, the template is non-negotiable. The template you must use as is. I'm going to, let me see. Becca, can I pick on you? Unmute. Okay.
Of course, you had to pick me where I'm on my phone
Okay.
and my computer
Okay,
because for whatever reason
Okay, well,
it's not
I can
connected.
hear you though, so that's okay. I'm sorry. Becca, if with the template, if something is in black, what do you do with it?
Black, we keep it there.
Keep it there. If it's in yellow, what do you do with it?
I type.
You need just narrative work. You have to write something. And then if it's in red, what do you do with it?
Those are notes and I can delete those.
You delete those after you use what you need to use. Does everybody understand that? Remember, the first page, your name here. The only thing you do on that page is put your name here on that page. The next thing that you do, Elisa, let me talk to you, Elisa. Elisa Sellers, can you unmute? Okay. Okay. I can't hear. Okay, I can't hear you. Macy, unmute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the first thing that I asked you to be working on this week that everybody should be working on that comes after your page with your name here?
Your school profile.
Your school profile. And what just briefly, what is the school profile?
It's telling all about your school. Use your school improvement plan and look at the state report
Right.
cards for your school.
Right. You can and where can you, Leanne? Where did you say that you could go and find something about your to help with the school profile that's already there?
The accreditation company, which is currently Cognia.
Or if you don't, whatever your accreditation, whoever you have accreditation with, that's a good place to find some good factual information about your school. Okay. Let's go Sparkle. Okay.
Hi.
Task 1. I introduced you to task 1. When you get to task 1, what was the first thing that you had to do?
Do your PLC research.
Your PLC research. Talk to me about PLC research. What are the requirements for PLC research? First of all, what is your heading going to be? What is the heading going to be? Anybody?
PLC research.
It's going to be PLC research. Okay. And what are you going to do with PLC research? What's the purpose of that?
Tell what a PLC is, what a good PLC looks like, the norms. You have to have a minimum of 3 resources, and you have to use Richard DeFore as one of your resources.
You have to at least use him. Okay. Everybody understand what you've got to do with okay. And one of the most important things, can you write it just any way that you want to, Shaquita?
No, we have to use APA.
APA what?
You said what?
What edition?
The 7th.
7th edition. That's right. And remember, in Blackboard, there is an APA section in there to help you with that. You should have a manual. And then on this Thursday, Dr. Hamilton, Dr. Revis, and Dr. Nutting are going to share with you the essentials for APA, the basic essentials for APA for this course of study. So that will help you tremendously with the things that she's going to be sharing. Okay. Thanks, Sparkle. Let's see. And I don't have my list of first names in front of Miss Scipio. I know it's tell me your first name.
It's Alvanese, but you can call me Nicole. I prefer Nicole.
Nicole, okay. Alvanese, I bet you were named after your daddy, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Can you guess his name?
And Alvin,
Yep, that's him.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's him.
So you want me to call you Nicole, okay? Nicole, okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, let's go to after you complete the literature review, what was the next thing that you were instructed to do?
I also at some point need to email my mentor and make sure that he's given me permission to do this PLC,
Thank
and that
you.
needs to be
Let's go back and
included.
revisit that before we go to this. Okay. You were
Okay.
supposed to have either emailed or either met with them and talked to them about, what you're doing in this program, what you're being tasked to do, and getting permission to form a committee and to move forward with establishing
Yes.
the PLC. But what were the artifacts that I asked you for, Nicole?
I'm under my prompt. I have the email permission. I have make sure you include 4 to 5 people. Am I missing something? Where we are? We're under the prompt 1.
Okay, you prompt 1, but what are the 2 artifacts that when you talk to your administrator, what are the 2 artifacts that you're going to need to be able to use for task 1 when you submit it? There got to be artifacts. Okay.
My digital presentation.
No, you're not doing a digital presentation yet. Okay, anybody, help us out. Okay, Robin?
The email to get the okay to actually do the PLC.
Okay, you're going to have 2 things, your request,
right,
your email request, and then your affirmative response back from your site supervisor. You got to have them. Okay, good. Okay, now, Nicole, let's go on to after the literature review, your committee. Talk to me about the committee selection.
Okay. Well, we want to select people that, first of all, they're required to be at every meeting. So you need to include someone that's dependable, because that was one thing that I did read and know that they need to be at every meeting. And we should include 4 to 5 people. And within those 4 to 5 people, those numbers do include us. A principal, if possible, make sure our team is diverse. And whenever we submit our PLC information or our overview, we do not provide their name. We provide consider them teacher A, teacher B, so on. We need to be clear about what we're doing in the meeting, the point of the meeting, the mission, the vision, things along that line.
Okay, thank you. Mandy? Mandy, talk to me some more about the people you select. Do you just put their teacher A, teacher B, or teacher C?
No, you're supposed to include their credentials and how many years they've been teaching, any types of credentials, anything that you think makes them exceptional for your team.
Right. You're going to qualify them as members of your team. Okay. Okay. Then after you have picked your team, Melissa, Melissa, what would you do then? What's the next step?
The PLC
meeting. Okay, that's okay. That's okay, Melissa. I'll get somebody else because I can't hear you. Brenda, what do you do after you have formed your after you have picked your PLC members? Okay, can't hear you. Okay, Melissa.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You said, what do we do after we get our members?
After you get your members, what's the next thing that you have to do?
You schedule your meeting, and once you schedule,
what's the purpose of that meeting?
To lay down like the rules and the foundation and the norms and your vision, and to remind them that this is not just to vent and complain. We have goals set in this PLC meeting.
Wow, I like it. I tell you what, when I grow up, I'm going to be like every one of you. Somebody else, anybody. You know, because I can't keep up with who I'm asking or what. Anybody that would like to chime in after, and Melissa, I got that response that you typed in. Thank you. After, at this meeting, when you have this meeting, are you going to talk about the problems at this meeting? That's not the purpose, is it? What if somebody starts wanting to ask you questions about it? What are you supposed to do? What should you do as a leader?
Remind them why we're here, and that's for student learning outcomes.
That's right. Now, as an artifact, what did I highly recommend that you have done to prove you're conducting that meeting with your team?
Take a picture.
Have a picture. Yes, it's worth 1,000 words. Yes. So get that picture, and then after every task that you do, what comes after the last piece of work that you've got to do? What must, for every one of them, you must have if you've like with your research, what must you show at the end of that task?
A reference page.
Your reference section, can you just put them any old way in there?
No, APA.
Again, it must again be what?
APA 7th edition.
7th edition. You should also realize that everything, all narrative work is double spaced. Remember, and Dr. Revis and I'm going to talk about this. Your font must be a certain type font. So all of that is it. Your spacing is important. So all of that is important. And then after your reference section, what is the last section that you're going to have every time?
The very last section?
The last section for each task.
The appendices?
Your
Appendices.
appendices, right. And that's going to be your heading up there, appendices. Now, under that, you're going to have Appendix 1, Appendix 2, Appendix 3. And remember, at a minimum, every one of your tasks should have at least evidence of you leading your PLC, an agenda, you know, again, pictures, things of that nature. But for this first one, go back to what I asked you at the very beginning. You're going to have, where you've met with your principal, 2 artifacts there. What are they again?
The request and the response from your
The request and the response. Dr. Evans, I think they've got it with task 1. Don't you?
Dr. Stedman, can I ask a question real quick?
You certainly may.
Is it okay if we have like 6 or 7 people on our team, or that's too many?
I would say that's too many, but now if you feel like that you can work with them and you've got control of them and they're going to move forward with you, Sparkle, I wouldn't tell you you can't have them. Okay, just be careful because too many sometimes can cause you problems. Okay. With that, Dr. Revis, have I missed anything with task 1? Okay.
I think we're good. And it sounds like they have a really good understanding of what they need to do. Now, we are going to give you an overview, and it is just an overview of APA 7th edition on Thursday evening. If it's been a while since you've written what we consider to be scholarly writing, then, you know, you'll get back, pick up on it. But, you know, we'll definitely want to go over the things that you will need in formatting and that you will need in writing your narrative for your tasks.
Okay. This is just a raise a hand. How many of you feel like that you're probably going to be able to submit task 1 for peer and instructor review before Sunday? You feel comfortable that you're going to be able to do that? That looks good. I love it when I get them ahead of time. You have until Sunday at 6 o'clock, but I love it when you get them to me ahead of time. So,
Dr. Stedman, what happens if Other than an absence, what happens to my grade if I don't meet that 6 o'clock deadline?
You don't get, if you were going to get full credit, you don't get full credit. You don't get full
Okay.
credit. I can't give you full credit. It's not fair to you, first of all, and it's not fair to other students that are getting their work in on time. So again, I'm going to love you, but I'm going to love you hard. Okay? This is hard love. I have to do it. And I start out that way from the very beginning and I don't back down. Okay?
The process that we use is that you turn it in for peer and instructor review. Dr. Stedman reviews it. He will give you detail. Well, he gives a lot of good feedback, and it's quick, guys. He gives feedback much quicker than I do. And then you have to revise it and get it ready to resubmit for final submission by the following Sunday. Okay. So your first submission is worth 50 points. All right. And let's say he gives you 30 because you had several things you've got to revise. If you will do what he asks and return it back into him by Thursday of next week, then that grade can be brought back to full credit or a 50. Okay. And then you're ready to you've done all your revisions. Then you're ready to put it in the final grade Dropbox. So we give you an opportunity to revise.
Right. Now, Dr. Evans, and nobody can laugh at me. If you keep on sending me work and make me lose my hair, then you can't get full credit. Okay? So don't make me do that, okay? I think you got the point.
Dr. Stedman,
Give it, yes.
may I ask a question real quick about this?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
When we are putting in the template, the references and the appendices are all the way at the very end of all the tasks.
Right.
Is that correct in where we're supposed to put it?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if we were supposed to put it after each task to turn in, or we're turning in the whole document unfinished each time.
Yeah. Well, good question, Michelle. For task 1, you're going to put your references and appendices for task 1. For task 2, you're going to put your references and appendices for task 2. For task 3, because you're going to submit each task separately. But you can, on the side, you can always run a running appendices and a running reference section, so that when you complete task 1 through 5 and you get ready to turn in your final, you've already got it there. I only want to see one task at a time with what goes with that task. Okay? Make sense?
So are we making a copy of the template and only turning in that piece of work, and then we have the ongoing template, the original template that you gave to us, correct?
You're going to take what you need for task 1 only for this week. And then next week, you won't submit task 1 with task 2. You will only submit me task 2 when I've cleared task 1. And I will tell you at the end of the process when it's time to go back and put them all together into one document. Okay? Good questions, though. Dr. Revis, I'm going to let you move forward with, this is a good point to go ahead and talk about the peer review process.
Can you see my screen, Dr. Stedman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is found under week 2. I'm going to scroll down to the peer review PowerPoint. Now, we take peer reviews very seriously. It's not just busy work. So I want to share with you why we do it. A lot of people love to know why we're doing things. So let me do that very quickly. The purpose of our peer reviews is it gives you practice in giving feedback to adults, quality feedback to adults. And while we're in the classroom, nothing, we are very accustomed and comfortable giving feedback to students, but it's a different thing to give quality feedback to adults. So it's to give you practice in that, because when you become a school administrator, you are giving a lot of feedback, whether it's on the fly or in writing. Secondly, it provides feedback to your peers so they can improve the work. So you're going to provide feedback through a rubric. Everybody has the same rubric. And then lastly, it gives you an opportunity to see the work of others so you can get ideas on improving your work. We think it's a good thing for you to look at others' work. All right. So let's talk about what our feedback should look like. It needs to be authentic, meaning true. Don't just say good job, nice work, that kind of stuff. It needs to be specific. Give examples from the author's work. It needs to be immediate, timely. Your peer reviews are due by 6 o'clock on Tuesday. We'll talk about the process in a minute, but it needs to be timely. It needs to be clean and not attached to something else. For example, if I'm reviewing Dr. Stedman's work, I'm not going to bring into that peer review the fact that he sliced me on my last peer review. It has to be clean and not attached to anything else. And of course, it needs to be private and confidential. So again, your feedback should be provided no later than Tuesday evening before each class, which I think you put a deadline on at 6 o'clock. Did you not, Dr. Stedman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 6 o'clock. So with that said, let me now go into, I'm having a hard time moving everything around here to get back to this. Let's look at, I like to start with a non-example. And again, this should be under your week 2. I think we can learn a lot from non-examples. Here's your template, and everybody's going to use the same template. So up here, you are the peer reviewer. You put your name here, and you put your author's name here. There are 7 areas in which you must
also make sure you put the task, the AAPSL Task 1 in there as well.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, make sure you put that as well.
AAPSL Task 1. Now, there is no link. I don't know why that's there, but you would need to put AAPSL Task 1 or AAPSL Task 2, whatever task you are reviewing. There are 7 areas in which you need to provide feedback. And this is the little rubric that we use. Okay. So the first is about the content. Boy, that's very brief and and that does not give me any idea of how I can improve my work. Thank you for a great paper. This stuff doesn't get it, guys.
Dr. Ravis,
yes.
even if it is aligned correctly, go back to that first one. You might say that, the task is aligned with course content as evidenced by.
Right.
And you tell why you think why it is aligned as evidenced by. And then that is positive feedback.
And I'm going to show you a good example here in just a moment. Great formatting. Now I'm going to be honest with you. I promise you there's not a paper that you're going to turn in this week, anybody, I hope there is, that has perfect APA formatting. Usually at the beginning of the semester, you're going to have a lot of feedback to give. As we move along, you will find less and less feedback. Now let's look at a good example.
Dr. Revis, while you're pulling that up, think about this. This process is going to help two people. First of all, who is it going to help while they're doing this, the peer review? Who is it going to help? It's going to help yourself, because it's going to cause you to be more cognizant of what you are doing as well. And then it's going to help the peer. So it has a dual process.
Okay, so look at the difference. I mean, look at all the text that this person has given feedback. And it's not just the amount of text, but what is the content of it? All right. And here, this is exactly what Dr. Stedman was saying. The information is aligned with the content of the course and the assignment. There was no reference to any of the class readings or textbooks in your evidence. This can easily be fixed, da, 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 da. So notice how the rater gave an explanation and specific ways for improvement. The rubric requirements. You give a great description of the school with student demographics. You also do a good job of describing the area in which the school is located. You might want to look at some external demographic information to better understand the community, etc. Ways to make the paper better, and so on and so forth. Interviews of existing staff are not present in the artifact. The rubric requires that existing staff members be interviewed. Well, this rubric, the one you're doing now, doesn't, but this is on a different task. The depth of your evidence is good for many of your components. Some components are missing required details, and they have noted those through here. And grammar. Your sentence structure references in grammar. In the first paragraph, under school leadership section, you should capitalize the word school. Specific feedback. Dr. Stedman, do you want them to number their pages?
I think so, because it's going to make it easier for you as well.
I think it's easier for you to reference on page 4, second paragraph, so on and so forth.
Yes, let's number your pages.
There are no references for any information compiled in the evidence with no bibliography page. There is no way, da, 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 da. So this person didn't even do a reference page. And there should be a section here on APA. I don't know why it didn't get in this example. Guys, don't say things like, APA is good as far as I know. Be specific and confident. One of the best ways for you to learn APA is for you to review and help revise and give feedback on other people's APA.
You will learn and grow from this. Dr. Revis, scroll back up. Okay, you got my name on there, so this is the other one was my review or whatever. But anyway, right. I'm having to do a peer review. I just don't feel comfortable with talking about somebody's weaknesses, Dr. Revis. I think I'm going to skip that part.
Can't skip it, guys. That's as a school leader, as an administrator, your number one job, one of your number one jobs, is to help grow your teachers to be the best they can be. You've got to become comfortable in giving them feedback. Doesn't have to be negative or nasty, but it needs to be truthful,
right,
to the point, and tell them how to improve it.
Now, we realize that all of you, pretty much are at the same place when it comes to this. Now, Dr. Revis, you've done my peer review. I look at it and there might be something that I just don't agree with that you've done on mine. Am I required to make that change because one of my peers said I needed to change it?
No, if they say that you've got, for example, an APA error and point it out, you go back to your APA manual and you reread it and you believe you're correct, you do not have to correct it. Now,
Go ahead.
when Dr. Stedman tells you to correct it, no questions asked. You address it, you correct it.
But guess what? Dr. Stedman makes a mistake sometime. I'm not perfect. So, Michelle, if I am grading your work and I tell you to change something, and you look back and you'll say, this doesn't look like it looks like it's right. I don't understand what Dr. Stedman said. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You reach out to me and you say, Dr. Stedman, I don't quite understand this, because guess what? When I am grading lots and lots of work, sometimes it'll start, I get bumfuzzled, it might come together. I will make mistakes sometime. So it's okay to point them out to me. And if I do, I'll say, I apologize. You're right. This is the way it should be. And we'll move on. So it's okay to ask me if you think something is not right. And then if it still is wrong, then that gives me an opportunity to better explain why it's wrong to you or needs. So it's okay to talk with me about things if you see something that I've done that doesn't look right. Okay.
All right. So I think at this point, Dr. Stedman, I'm going to stop my share. And if you could pull up your Zoom teams.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me stop. Okay.
Okay. You can talk to them while I'm doing that, Dr. Revis.
Okay. So on the left-hand side, you have a tab, that says Zoom teams. Zoom teams and peer review teams are the same. So wherever you see peer review and Zoom, you're going to have the same thing. I guess let's go to the peer review.
Yeah, let's here it is. I've got them in there, but your teams are going to be listed here, your Zoom teams, but it's also listed down here under peer review materials.
Peer review materials.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you go there, here are your Zoom teams. These are the people that you will be working with. These are the people that you will be. Go ahead, Dr. Revis, and tell them what they need to be doing with their teams.
So on Sunday night, before Sunday night, Team 1 is going to get together, and hopefully somebody's going to take charge of Team 1, and you're going to decide who's going to review who. So let's say that Melissa decides she has to review Kristen and Sparkle, and Kristen reviews Melissa and Sparkle, and then Sparkle reviews. Everybody has to do 2 peer reviews and should receive 2 peer reviews. So you just decide who's going to review who. And then when Sunday night comes, or even Saturday, you look in, I'll show you where to look to see if the person you're supposed to peer review has submitted their work, and then you pull it up and you can start doing your peer review. Now, you can keep reviewing the same 2 people this whole semester, or you can do a round robin. You can switch them up. In task 2, you can swap off and do 2 other people, and so on and so forth. As a team, you decide how you're going to do your peer reviews.
Okay, Dr. Revis, let's say while it's up there, let's say Melissa, Kristen, and Sparkle are a team. Let's just say they're reviewing each other's work. And after work is submitted on Sunday night at 6 o'clock, that's when you can start working on it before, because some people will turn their work in ahead of time. And if it's one of your people, then you can go ahead and get the peer review done before Sunday night. But if they have at least until Sunday at 6 o'clock to get the work in. So your job is between Sunday night and Tuesday at 6 o'clock to get your two peer reviews done. So let's say, for instance, and I'm going to pick on you, Sparkle. Let's say Sparkle decides, well, I'm not going to turn my work in on time. And it's not turned in on Sunday night at 6 o'clock. But Melissa is supposed to be doing a review for Sparkle, and Kristen's supposed to be doing a review for Sparkle. Should they be held hostage because Sparkle didn't turn her work in on time? No. So guess what Melissa and Kristen can do? They can decide, well, I'm going to view Amanda's work because Amanda's work's been turned in on time. Or I'm going to review Leanne's work because Leanne's work has been turned in on time. And then if that would be the case, and I know Sparkle's going to turn her work in on time, that's why I'm picking on her. Sparkle would not get her reviews. She would not get her reviews. However, she's still responsible for getting her work in, getting her work in. If for some reason you have somebody that you don't get 2 reviews, you send me an email and let me know. I need to know that. If you don't get your 2 reviews, I need to know. Okay? And then I'm going to find out why. So, Dr. Revis, move on.
One of the things you need to always do when you turn your work in, let's say you turn it in at 4 o'clock on Sunday, you're not done. I would suggest, highly recommend that you use Sunday night to do your 2 peer reviews.
Get it okay?
Just get in that habit and in that routine. And then once you get them done, you're done. And then you can start focusing on this week's work. Okay?
That's right. Now, Dr. Revis, they get well, let's go ahead. Okay. This is where you find everything you need to do your peer reviews.
Right.
Now, when you get ready to turn your I'm looking for the peer review Dropbox, Dr. Revis.
It's about middle way down. I think you've
AAPSL peer review.
It's on a AAPSL peer
right here.
review.
AAPSL completed peer review Dropbox. Okay. Let's click on that. Okay, here's
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go ahead. I'll be Anna. You tell me what to do.
Okay, so you've got 2 peer reviews due to Dr. Stedman by 6 o'clock on Tuesday. We're going to have them earlier though. So you've got 2 drop boxes for your AAPSL task 1. You open one drop box and you create a submission and you upload one peer review there.
Did you see this? Peer review 1, task 1, peer review 1, and you submit it.
And then you've got to submit your other peer review right there. Do not put them in the same Dropbox.
Now, these are the ones that go to me. This is how
these go to Dr. Stedman.
This is how you get your grades for the peer reviews. You're going to do the very same thing for peer review to your second person. Now, Dr. Revis, where do they, when Michelle does Mandy's, where is she going to send it for Mandy to look at it so she can get, review it and get the feedback from it?
Okay, scroll down until you find the AAPSL for peer and instructor review.
Okay, I'm looking. My eyes don't always want to work. Okay. AAPSL. Template materials task completed. Peer review AAPSL assignment Dropbox.
It's discussion. Go to discussion board. That's the easiest place.
That's where it is. Yes. Discussion board. Okay.
You can always go there if you can't find it.
That's it. Yeah.
So this is where you go to upload your task 1 for peer and instructor review. You click on it by Sunday night at 6 o'clock. You open it up, and I guess this is from your last semester.
Yes, and I've tried to take those out and I can't get them to go out. But
Okay.
but anyway,
So you see Donya's is there. That is how Dr. Stedman is going to give you an instructor review. And this is where your peers go and pick up your information for review. So if I'm reviewing Donya's, I open up her work. Okay, we're uploading. Let's say I'm uploading my work. I'm going to title it Revis AAPSL Task 1. I always put my name first, Revis AAPSL Task 1.
before we get there, Dr. Revis, this is where they would upload for the peer reviews that they're doing.
Right.
They're going to upload their peer reviews. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
they'll also upload their tasks too.
Their task 1. This is where your task 1 is going to go. Task 2, task 3, or whatever.
Right. And put your last name, AAPSL Task 1, and then scroll on down, and you will upload.
Okay. And if you need to say anything there, this is where you would say it.
So this sends it to Dr. Stedman for a review, and this is also going to make it visible for others to review your work.
Everybody in your class can see this. Okay, I can see it. Every student in your class can see it. So this is when it's submitted for peer instructor review, then everybody can go to the discussion board. They can click on it and all your names will appear on there. And so, Michelle, when you look for your 2 people, you will look under discussion board, you'll find your 2 people. You'll click on Mandy. If Mandy's one of yours, you'll click on hers and you'll see her completed task 1. This is where you're going to find the word to do your peer review. Okay. Now, Dr. Revis, when they've completed their peer review, for the peer, where do they submit it back to? For the peer.
Okay, let's back up. Let's say that you're supposed to peer review Donya's. Can you go up there at the top left and go back?
Yes.
Yeah, let's see if we can get back to that. All right, let's say that I'm supposed to review Donya's. I open Donya's. You want to click on hers, Dr. Stedman? And I pull it down. I open it up.
I may have. It's not going. It's not going to.
Okay, you open it up, and that's how you access it. And then you reply to her post with your peer review. All
and
right.
that's where. And if Michelle's doing Mandy's, she puts it back in the discussion board. Mandy can go in there and find Michelle's peer review on her. Okay.
Now, in the discussion board is where your peers are going to look at your feedback, but you still have to submit it in that Dropbox for Dr. Stedman to grade it. You really have to submit it 2 places.
This is where you submit it for peers. There, you're going to submit the AAPSL Task 1 in this. You're going to create a thread. You can put your AAPSL Task 1 here for peer and instructor review. This is where you're going to go and find the persons that your peers that you're supposed to be doing the peer reviews on. because they will have a thread in there. I'm going to give feedback as well. Now, nobody can see my feedback but you. Okay? But your thread, the thread is going to be open for you to get the peer reviews back there. Dr. Evans, I want to show them something else though that we've got. Oh, come on. Let me do this. The video. Let me go back under week 2. Go back under week 2. Okay, look at there. You see this? This is a video submitting peer reviews in Blackboard to peers and instructors. I had a student last semester that we went through the process. She's sitting there, we videoed it, and we go through it step by step so you know what to do with what we've just talked about. So this gives you a chance to go back and to review what we have just talked about. So in review, your peer reviews will be due next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, no later than 6 o'clock, for task 1 of the AAPSL that you're going to have submitted no later than 6 o'clock this Sunday night. Okay? You're required to do 2 peer reviews. Your team, you will decide who's going to do whom, but everybody should get 2 peer reviews. So somebody take the lead and move forward with that. You're going to submit them in 2 places, back in discussion board for your peers, and then you're going to go submit them to me back in the completed AAPSL peer review Dropbox for a final grade as well. Okay, so that's 2 places that you're going to submit. Michelle's going to submit Mandy's peer reviews in 2 places. She's going to put one in the completed Dropbox for me, and she's going to put one in the discussion board for Mandy. Okay? Did I say that right, Dr. Revis?
You did.
Okay, before we go any further, let me stop share. Any questions?
So for the final, like once we send our task 1, you give us back our revision. The final one, we put it under the AAPSL assignment. We just put it under that one. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And then once you get your peers have reviewed your work. I have given your feedback. Then that gives you a chance to go ahead and to clean up what you need to clean up for that particular task 1 this week. So no later than Thursday, we have class on Tuesday. No later than Thursday of that week by 6 o'clock, I should have, if I need to look at your work again, it should be to me no later than Thursday so you can get it, go ahead and submit it and get it off your plate because you're already working on another task. Okay? After this week, this is task 1 only, but after this week, you will always be submitting a task for review and you will be submitting a task for a final grade all at the same time after this week. Dr. Evans, we're going to hold off on the coaching stuff. I think we'll have time to really delve in that next week. I think it'll be too much for them. But I do want to end with one thing. I don't want you to, don't let it take you to a place, but I do think I need to go ahead and just remind you of some things to be prepared for as you're moving forward, finishing up task 1, because many of you are going to finish task one. You're going to finish task one this week, and you're going to be ready to move on with task two. And I don't want to hold you back with that. So this is what I want to. Here we are. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, you've met with your team this week. You've already, you've told them what, you've done your research. You've got your team together. You've told them what the purpose of the PLC is, and you're cleared. Okay, I clear you. Task two, very quickly, you've got to move forward with the team. This is going to be your second meeting with your PLC. That's going to come after I clear you with task one. Again, these are your headings, and we've gone over this last Thursday night. But your heading is going to be data collection strategies. You're going to lead your PLC team that you formed in task one to determine the strategies that's going to be used to collect the data to determine the most pressing need for improving student achievement. And again, this is all narrative work. Now, remember, you haven't identified a pressing need yet. You're going to. And this is just an example of data collection strategies. Again, you're going to use every resource that you can look at. But I want you to look when this person met with their principal for the first time. Guess what the principal went ahead and suggested? Said, I understand what you're doing, but I'd like for you to look at 8th grade math data. Now, should you go ahead, because that was suggested initially, should you just camp out there and not look at anything else in your data collection strategy? No, that's just a suggestion from your principal. And because it's your principal, guess what? You better do it. Okay? But that's just one thing you're going to look at. This tells you everything that they did to move forward with gathering what they were going to do. Sorry. Also, this tells you everything that they're going to do, that you're going to do with your team. Move forward with gathering the data that you're going to need to be able to move forward to begin looking at identifying what that most pressing need is. And again, you're going to look at the most recent test data. And again, if you're looking at subgroups, you probably need more than 1 year of test data, the most 2 or 3 recent years, because you want to see if there is a theme. Just like with this one, there was a theme for 3 years. The math had continued to drop. There had been brand new teachers on that grade level in math for 3 consecutive years. So there were a lot of factors that contributed to that. But you're going to tell that story right here. You and your team are going to make that decision. Then the next thing you're going to do is, you still don't know what the pressing need is. Your heading is criteria and process for identifying the most pressing need. You and your team is going to say, okay, now we've got all of this information. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it now? So you're going to set up, this is what we're going to do step by step by step, because you've got to have a process in place to be able to get to that place that you need to get to determine what that need is at some point. And then the third heading is collaborative data analysis. This is your data dive. You're going to work as a team, and you're going to tear that data apart every way you can. Now, all of you've done deep data dives at your schools already. So this is should not be something new. You're just going to lead the process this time. So this is your collaborative data analysis. And you talk about it here. Again, this is all narrative work. And then finally, after you've done all of that, you and your team's going to say, based on everything that we've done, guess what? This is our most pressing need. And you're going to say it. You're going to say that this is our most pressing need. Now, after this team got together, what the principal wanted them to look at actually was the most pressing need based on the data dive that they had done. So they said that their most pressing need was 8th grade math, as mentioned earlier. And again, they looked at the economically disadvantaged subgroup was the highest need, but the principal said, I want you to focus on the grade level rather than the subgroup. So they had no choice but to do what the principal wanted them to do, to look at the whole 8th grade as it relates to math. And you're going to talk about that there, but you're going to say the most pressing need is, and you're going to say it. And then when you get to task two, you're going to graphically represent what you did in task one. I'm not going to go through all of this. I'll let you read it. I just wanted to give you a heads up so when you get to that point, you know it's okay when I clear you with task one. It's okay to move on with that, and then we will go and we'll delve into it in more detail on next Tuesday. Dr. Revis, anything you want to say about that, or have I said enough about it?
I think you said enough. You actually need to have this meeting with your PLC next week. So, you know, we talked in the first week of class about you need to, you know, make sure your PLC members know they're going to have to be meeting with you on a weekly basis for the first 4 or 5 weeks. And then it slows down a little bit.
It will. Now, I will tell you, it seems like a lot, but it is not a lot once you get into it. The best thing to do is don't think about peer review right now. Don't think about what I said about task two. Get task one finished. Get task one finished. Then the next step is get task one finished, get it submitted for peer and instructor review, and then immediately begin looking at the peer review process. Do that. Once you are cleared with the peer review process, then you clean up task one. And once you're cleaned up with task one, then you focus on task two. But you see how this process works? I will always have to help you finish a task, and I always will have to help lead you in the direction for what the next task is going to be. That will be all the way through task 2, 3, and 4. Task 5 will be completely different from the work that you're doing now, because that's when you go to your competencies. Then we'll put it all together. We'll have about a week of rest, and then I will start the whole process over again with the second evidence that you're doing. So you'll repeat this process. So the work you're doing now, there is more work involved now, but it's not always this way. Is it, Dr. Revis?
Right.
It's a lot right
yeah.
now, because you're having to get to a place. Then you will see where it backs off some, and then we move in that direction again, and then it backs off again. Okay, so I don't want you to think that it's always going to be like this. And once you
this week coming up is going to be a tough week for you.
Mm-hmm.
It
and
is.
Once you get through, figure out how to do it, and you get the routine of it, I promise you, and I told you I'd use that word a lot, I promise you with all my heart, it'll all come together, and it'll become, a lot of it's going to become second nature once you get into the routine of it. Okay? I need some smiles. Thank you. That makes me feel better. Does it make sense, though? Okay, you can unmute some of you. Does it make sense? Do you understand the direction that you're going in?
How many of you've already met with your PLC? Okay, good.
And
Hopefully,
it doesn't have to be a long meeting either, this first meeting.
No. The first meeting, I like to think of it as an organizational meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you be sure you take charge. And if they start talking about attendance and discipline, pull them back. This is about student achievement, student learning. Okay?
Okay. Are you
I
okay?
do have a question about the pictures.
Go ahead. Go
About
ahead.
the pictures. I know that you said we could do the initials with their qualifications, but it could be like a back shot and then with us in the front if they don't want a picture taken.
Right.
Could we?
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Okay.
Right.
Because that picture of you like up at the projection screen or whatever shows that you're leading.
And
Okay.
the only people that's going to see that is going to be me. It's going to be whoever ever your third party evaluator is when you finish it. And then when you finally submit it to DPI for certification, that's the only people that's going to see this. Okay.
Do either of you have office hours in case like we run into issues where it would be a good time to try to reach out?
Leanne just sent a text message or send an email, and we'll try to respond because I work a full-time job, and Dr. Revis, she does, and she's a school board vice chair of the school board too. So we live very, very busy lives in addition to this, like you do. But I promise you this, we will get back with you. And a lot of times, if you send me a text message, just say this is Leanne. Call me when you can. And sometimes put in your text, just say my planning period is. And if I can't call you during a planning period, then I'll send you a text back and say, I will not have any free time until after school is out, and we'll talk then. But yes, we will talk. Okay. Everybody good? Do you feel like you can move forward now? Everybody feel good about it? Those are slow nods. I think
Guys, don't worry.
You're gonna be fine.
Don't worry about your internship evidences right now. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll get that next week, okay? But are you good? Okay. We'll see
Thumbs
you.
up.
We'll see you on Thursday. Thursday is going to be very, very important. So please, please make every effort to be here on Thursday at 7 o'clock. This is going to help you so much with your writing. Okay. Some good stuff. And then remember, after 4 weeks, there won't be but one more Thursday night for the whole semester. So that will end as well. And you'll have those time to work. Plus you'll have spring break where you won't have to come on with us. You'll be able to do your work. And then there's one other Tuesday night towards the end that we give you as well. So there's some breaks in there. Okay. Okay. Tonight we will see you.
Can you stay on for 1 second? I just have a question.
Yes, yes. Okay, guys. We will see you on Thursday.